Hi, I'm Riki,
And I'm Kiwi.
and welcome to Person-Centered Learning.
If you're a homeschooler, an independent thinker, a lover of life's big questions, or simply don't fit into the mainstream education system, we would love for you to join us. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. So, what is learning? The reason why we chose to do this video, we kind of felt we compelled to do it because learning's become synonymous with school. You know, if you want to learn something, you go to school. If you want to learn something, you enroll in a course. The world has changed, of course, especially with all the resources around. Yeah. But even without them, learning didn't mean sitting in a classroom going to school. But that's what we were conditioned to believe.
Yeah.
Again, you can do that. That's a way to learn, but it isn't learning itself.
No.
So, Riki, have you got a definition of learning or an approach to it?
Yeah, look, I guess without looking it up in a dictionary, making sense of stimulus and information, and we're organising that information, and then it's personal for everybody, and everybody learns from, it might be the same environment, the same stimulus, and somebody learns something completely different from that same experience. So it's a very unique individual experience.
I look at it very similarly. So the way I saw it was you receive input, you process that input, and you do something with it.
Yeah, it's a very succinct way of putting it.
And when I thought of it like that, to me, learning became synonymous with instincts because that's what instincts are. Every animal is born with instinct, including the Homo sapien. Now, I watched our youngest son when he was born, and the moment after he was born, he crawled up your chest and found your nipple. I didn't teach him how to do that. I didn't send him on a 3-week course or anything like that.
And we're all taught that babies are just slugs that sort of can't do anything.
So, we're conditioned to believe that, aren't we?
Yeah, until we see something different or experience something different.
So I've seen it for myself now. I'm like, wow. So this little kid who knew nothing in the world knew to do that, which was incredible. So, and the reason why he did that was to survive. And putting it all together with learning, to me, we learn things that are relevant to us to survive. And that's what learning is, it's instinct. So why do we have all this anxiety? Why do we pour billions and billions of dollars into education? Not like there's anything wrong with spending money on education. That's not what I'm saying. But we've got so much, especially as parents, we've got so much anxiety about, oh my gosh, will my kids learn?
I guess status and success and performance and fear of failure and fear of all those things.
Fear of competition.
Yeah.
I guess there's a bigger, hungrier, scarier animal out there, isn't there? Yeah. In terms of capitalism, it's somebody who's worth more than you to some organisation who's willing to go that extra yard to make that money, and therefore you'll be left behind so that your kid has to go to Kumon and do some extra tutoring.
So every I guess most parents are scared of that, of their kid being left behind and being... Yeah.
So there's a real lack of trust in the process, I think. So if learning is instinct and it should be that easy, like breathing or finding a nipple after you're born, and essentially it's our anxieties and not trusting the process that get in the way of learning, perhaps. And maybe that's what we need to do as parents, to just kind of step aside a little bit and let the child lead. Yeah.
And what are the kids learning from our anxieties? Because that's stimulus as well. Yeah. You know, what are they learning? That, I can't be trusted to learn, or, the world is a dangerous place, or it's a scary place, or it's a stressful place, or my parents don't believe in me, or, what are the things that just our pure anxieties of wanting the best for them and thinking, oh my gosh, I really want them to be able to find their way in life. But if we're anxious about it and worried and freaking out about them not being able to do a certain skill because we believe that particular skill or that subject that they're not sort of excelling in is really important, then what's that teaching them as well? What are they learning from our responses to their learning experience? So it's sort of like it's a feedback loop.
They're always learning something. And if the goal is to survive, if most of our instincts are about survival, then I survive by pleasing other people. That's the lesson they're going to learn.
Yeah. How can I keep being loved if I'm not unconditionally loved? How can I keep pleasing my parents because they love to see that A on the report card, or they love to see me get the answer right? I guess you'd learn that getting the right answer or bringing home the right mark is the way to get love. So
yeah,
you're learning all the time.
So you said in our very first video, it's all about relationship.
Yeah.
And there you go, unconditional love. So look, if we were to give any tips about learning, I'd say the first one would be unconditional love.
Yeah.
Unconditional positive regard.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, I'd borrow that from Carl Rogers.
Yeah.
Unconditional positive regard. And I guess that's for a video, maybe for another, or a topic for another video. But yeah, I think those core conditions are pretty essential for learning, positive learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another tip I'd definitely have to give is be patient. You know, you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check on it, do you? You let it unfold. You go through this natural process of unfolding. You know, the universe came alive with a big bang, and from there it took billions of years to get to this point where we are today. It had to go through a natural process that we call physics, where it unfolds. Yeah. Now a child does much the same. No one's ever given birth to an adult, right? Yeah. As much as we wish that our children behave like adults, and well, actually I don't. I got some of the adults I know.
Well, you say that we don't give birth to adults. However, a lot of conditioning and a lot of learning that happens in utero, I think, has a big part on adults, you know, as us as adults. So if, for instance, you know, the mother is very stressed out for the whole gestation period, that baby is learning, oh my gosh, I'm going to be born into a very hostile, very frightening, very challenging environment. So they're, you know, gearing up for entering a very scary place. So, and that does affect us as adults. So, you know, I think that of course we don't give birth to adults, but we do give birth, I guess, to babies that are already being shaped very early on, and that will affect us as adults the way.
You're absolutely right.
So it's hard.
Yeah. But yeah, be patient, and look, the process doesn't always work. That's the thing. Well, not for the outcome we might want, and not for the time we want. We've got this timeline where kids are meant to be at, you know, once you're 18, that's it. You're responsible for everything, and all of a sudden you know how to handle alcohol. The stroke of midnight, you're allowed to drink alcohol in Australia. In America, it's 21. Yeah. But all of a sudden, oh right, I'm an adult now. I'm fully responsible for everything. You know, you hear that expression. When you're 18, you're out the door. Yeah. And so, oh, okay, right. So at the age of 18, at the stroke of midnight, I get all my learning skills. Cool. Yeah. I didn't know that's how it worked. Yep. So there's a natural process that every individual needs to go through, and a lot of it is an emotional unfolding, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the second tip. Be patient. Yes.
And I guess I've often thought EQ before IQ. Focus on their emotional well-being and what they're learning through their emotions.
Yeah. I think the emotional experience is what we describe as life. When you think about your life, you don't think of it in terms of numbers. I don't think you should anyway. I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but when we think about the quality of our lives, it's about the emotional experience, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, even those numbers that make you feel happy, you know, how much money you've got in your bank account, or how many cars you've got, and, you know, everything else, how much better you are than your peers, all of those numbers, that's the emotional feedback is what you get out of it. So another tip that I'd like to share is knowing thyself. So this channel essentially is about self-knowledge. That's what we always come back to.
Striving for self-knowledge
as much as you can. At every moment, there's always an opportunity to learn something about yourself. But, you know, we pass on so much to our kids, so much anxiety and so many of our own hopes and dreams that were crushed or whatever it is. I look at the way I've taught my kids some things, and I've got to step back and go, whoa, why am I doing that with them? Yeah. And the other day we were doing recurring decimals, and my son said to me, when does this come up in real life? I think my answer was, shut up. I was kidding. I can say
definitely wasn't.
I would never tell my kids to shut up.
Or anyone.
Or anyone, yeah. Unless it's a joke. But that was a really relevant question that comes up all the time when you're teaching your kids something, especially maths. And, you know, I could sense his body language shifting, and he was, you know, sitting on the lounge and he was all twisted, and, you know, he had no interest in it. And I was like, that's it. Let's stop. Let's do some linear equations, right? This is how an Asian dad has fun. It's like, right, son, I'm taking you out for some linear equations. And he was like, cool. Like his body just changed. And, we just went through some really simple, collecting like terms and, shuffling things around and finding X or Y or whatever it was in that question. And he really enjoyed it. And it made me think, why did someone decide that recurring decimals were really important? Now, I'm not saying they're not. Okay, I don't want to offend anyone. There's a lot of maths teachers out there who I've got a bit of bad blood with. No, that's not true. But, someone somewhere decided this was important. And my son didn't agree to that. So I was like, you know what? We're just trying to smash out the Year 8 curriculum, starting like now. I just thought, let's get it out of the way so we can spend the year doing fun things, And I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. When we get to the end of the year, if there's still time, we'll just do some recurring decimals. But don't worry about it. So, I had to find that in myself. It's like, wow, because I was good at maths. It doesn't mean that he has to have the same interests as me. So, yeah, know thyself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'd say that for pretty much everything in the curriculum, that who decided that was what we all our children needed to learn.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I think we'll get to that topic.
Yeah.
I guess this leads us onto another point. Let the learner lead. So our eldest son, if we look at his main interests...
Waste management and sustainability, yeah. So when he was really, really little, I had to kind of leave my ego at the door, and he asked me to look inside every single garbage bin in our local area, or wherever we went. We'd go to the city, wherever we'd go, he wanted to... had him in a little carrier, and all he wanted to do was... This is before he could speak. He'd just be pointing at the bin, and he'd want me to open it up. So I'd have to open up the bin, and we'd lean into the big wheelie bin, and he'd be inspecting the contents. He'd be noticing that there was recycling in one, there was paper in one, there was, mixed garbage. So it was a passion from very, very young, below 6 months even. It was, already there. So
yep. He went to his first Waste Expo at 2.
Yeah.
And he's gone to almost every single one since. I think we missed one because of COVID.
Yeah, 2, I think.
Yeah, 2 or something like that. But, this is what he loves.
Yeah.
And it's taught him so much. So he learnt to read through it. He learnt maths through it. He learnt how to network.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a huge skill, by the way, networking.
Yeah. He emails and contact, like telephones, garbage truck drivers and people from the industry all the time, negotiating... filming times, he likes to film the garbage trucks, and getting things like merch, like hats and mini garbage bins, and he's negotiating with adults and communicating with them all the time.
And he's been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's networking is one of the biggest skills you can learn, I think, for anybody for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And simply being likable.
Yeah.
People like him. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
So I think, letting him do that, checking her ego at the door and stepping out of the way.
Yeah, and just facilitating his passion.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. So I guess that leads on to another point, point 5 for me. I've got a list, I have to admit. I couldn't remember all this off the top of my head.
How many on the list, by the way?
17,000. But point 5 is have faith. We talked about trusting the process, and it is hard. Look, I can't assure you anything about your own life. All I can talk about is our experience, and this is what our channel is about, sharing the experience. We've seen our kids go through so many phases, and we're like, is this going to happen? And, reading is one of those things where a lot of parents get a lot of anxiety, because reading is a magic power.
Yeah.
Looking at these symbols, and all of a sudden you can discern all this stuff.
Wow, secret code.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
You showed it to an alien, they wouldn't be able to read it. They'd be able to fly from wherever to here, but they couldn't read English probably, right?
And watching a child work that out, being surrounded by words all the time, and papers and books and people writing all the time, and then watching them actually go, I want to find out what those marks on the paper mean, or on the computer, and then working it out, and then seeing them do that without readers, without phonics, without any sort of... It was just a natural process to see them just desperate to want, what are those, what are the adults doing? I want to know, and seeing them work it out is like magic.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a really permissive guy, and I don't think many things should be illegal, but readers should be illegal. They are the dumbest things. I can't follow them. I read them like, none of this makes sense. None of this is boring. Engaging. It's just like someone put words on a page, and expects a kid who's really young to be engaged with that.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. But if you give a 1-year-old even a book about their passion, like with our son, his waste management passion, if he had a manual even of a garbage truck, of the engine and the he'd anything like that, whether it was a brochure, he'd just be devouring.
Yep.
So
actually, he's just ordered a book off eBay, some garbage truck history book.
Yeah. About contractors.
Yeah, in Sydney, I think, or New South Wales. It was $55. And this is money he's earned by going through bins and getting cans out and earning. It's called a return and earn scheme here in New South Wales, and he's paying for it himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and our youngest son, quite embarrassingly for me, and this is going to get me kicked out of the homeschool club, I didn't even know he could read that well. Like, seriously. So he had no interest, and we were like, okay, well, we're not going to force him to read readers, especially, but he was really interested in a particular video game, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. He was playing this when he was really young. Probably inappropriately. Anyway, he's really good at it. He's found every shrine. Anyway, I haven't even done that. So we bought him the official guidebook, which was $50, and thinking, this will encourage him to read. Still didn't work. He had no interest in it.
Well, he loved looking through the pages. He'd spend hours folding through the pages.
But then all of a sudden he was reading.
Yeah. He got sick of asking everyone, what's that say? What's that say? What does that say? We'd keep reading out, always, patiently. Yeah. Every time he wanted to say, what does that say? We'd read it out. And his brother would have to stop what he's doing, come over and read it out. And he just got sick of asking people what it was actually written on the screen. So he just worked it out. It's like, wow. And pretty much, not overnight, but very quickly.
Yeah. And what really shocked me was about 2 years ago, so he was pretty young, 6 years old. He was reading to one of our neighbours' kids.
Oh, it's beautiful, yeah.
But the way he read it was like a professional. The intonation, the expression for each character he was putting in. Yeah. I was like, honestly, you can see the shock in me now. Like, I didn't know he had it in him.
Yeah.
It totally blew me away.
Yeah.
And look, we don't want to make this too long, so I just want to wrap up with a last point.
Yeah.
Point 6 is have perspective. So it's so easy to just stare at, right in the moment and not see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
This is what my kid's going through right now. Oh my gosh, they're going to be like this forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's a phase.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's a phase. Yeah.
Exactly. Earth has its seasons.
Yeah.
So too do humans. So your kid might be into something so shocking. Like, we can't even talk about it, what our kids have discussed at times. Seriously. It's like, whoa, if anyone knew that. But you know what? We all have a shadow side, I guess. So we need to discuss things that may not be savoury to the public and may not look good on paper. Yeah. So that's going to happen. And I'm sure every single parent out there can relate to that and go, yep, I'm not talking about that one.
Yeah. And give their children, I guess, the freedom to be able to express not necessarily the shadow side, but, all the things you can't discuss out in public, or the rude words and all that sort of thing. Give them a safe place to do it at home, because actually our first son, some of his first words that he wrote were rude words. I think
they were directed at me too.
Yeah, but we just, I guess, did literacy again with, I could call it like the phenomena-based kind of learning, where it was whatever the interest they had, they learnt from that. Yeah, from that. Usually an interest or a passion.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Riki and Kiwi's interpretation of what learning is. Learning is natural. Learning is instinct. It's the same thing as instinct. We learn things that are relevant to us to help us survive, and that might be learning to read so you can become a great lawyer, learning how to program computers because you're into that thing, or learning to break into cars because I'm joking.
No, I agree.
But that's what people are learning. We're always learning something. Yeah. And so just keep that in mind. And, those kids out there who aren't going to school, they're still learning something. And quite often it is learning to evade police, learning to lie to parents. Yeah. As Riki has said already, relationship is key. So if we can maintain that close relationship and let our children know that, hey, this is a safe place for you to come all the time. I love you unconditionally. Yeah. You have unconditional positive regard from me. Yeah.
And try and keep that natural curiosity alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
And go and get that formal education when you want to hone your skills, when you've got that interest. Yeah. There's a great Australian rugby league coach who says kids need to play more backyard footy. You know, don't coach them too young. Let them go and enjoy themselves. Just run around and basically use their instincts to get around the field.
Yeah.
After that, if the kid does have a real interest to become a professional footballer, then you hone the skills. So drills, hone the skills, but before that, just have fun.
Yeah, just play.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked that, please hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. It would really help the algorithm and help our channel grow. We love doing this. We love connecting with people. Let's join forces and make the world a better place, because we want our kids to grow up in somewhere that is supportive and empathic and kind and loving and compassionate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.